Hello and welcome to the Introduction to MEX. Here at MEX, we pride ourselves on producing maintenance management software that is easy to use even for people who have relatively limited experience with maintenance management systems. While keeping it simple, we've included enough functionality and flexibility to make the system effective in achieving your maintenance outcomes. On top of this, MEX is a very cost-effective package to implement, not just in terms of licensing costs, but with the time taken to implement the software, including configuration and user training. We will start our presentation by looking at some of the main modules of MEX: the Asset Register, Work Orders, History, and Preventative Maintenance. We will kick things off with the Asset Register. The MEX Asset Register, in its most basic form, is a list of the assets that you are responsible for maintaining. Once an asset has been defined in the system, the various maintenance tasks that you perform against that asset can be recorded as work orders. When a work order has been physically completed, it is closed off so that the work order moves from the maintenance backlog to the asset's maintenance history. I access the MEX Asset Register by clicking on the Assets icon on the MEX main menu. In the Asset Register, I can see that all of my maintainable assets are listed out on the left-hand side of the screen in a hierarchical structure. I can drill down through this hierarchy to locate the individual asset that I wish to look at. There's no limit to the depth or width of this hierarchy. When I select an asset, I can see all the information that relates to the asset on the right-hand side of the screen. For example, I have the Details tab, which shows the physical details of the asset, the Work Orders tab, which shows the maintenance backlog that exists for the asset, the Preventative Maintenance tab that shows the routine maintenance that is associated with it, and the History tab, which will show me the maintenance history of the asset. There are a range of other tabs including parts lists, drawings, movements, fuel usage, and so on. But most of the time, you'll be concentrating on those 4 tabs. To look at the details of a MEX asset, I need to select the asset and click on the Details icon at the bottom of the screen. I can see that I have a wide range of fields that I can use to record information. For example, I can record serial numbers and barcode numbers on the Extended tab. This will allow me to use barcodes or QR codes to easily search for assets, catalog items, or carry out pre-start checks. If I'm maintaining a vehicle, I have a tab that contains vehicle-specific information. I can record warranty and depreciation, and if I don't have a field that I wish to use, I also have an unlimited number of user-defined fields that can be added to each type of asset. Even though there are a large number of fields that can be used, the majority of the useful information will be contained on the Details tab. Here I have things like the asset type, which indicates what category the asset belongs to, the tank's manufacturer, the model number, if I have one, the account code, which is a cost center that any expenditure recorded against the asset will accrue to, and a range of other fields. If I populate this tab, then I will get 90% of the functionality in MEX. I can exit the details by clicking on the red X in the top right-hand side of the screen. Once I have an asset defined in the system, I can then begin to create work orders and maintenance schedules for that asset. We will now have a look at work orders. The work order is the most basic record in a maintenance system. It represents a maintenance task that is to be performed on the asset. For example, one of my forklifts might need to have its tires replaced. I would add this job into my maintenance backlog by creating a work order. In the work order, you would include such information as the asset being worked on, the description of the job, the type and priority of the job, the labor and material requirements for the job, the actual and estimated costs, and the date that the job is scheduled for. When the work has been completed, the work order is closed off, meaning that it has moved from your backlog of outstanding work to the maintenance history of the asset. The work order listing is accessed from the MEX main menu here. This listing contains all open work orders in your system, which is effectively your current maintenance backlog. In this listing, we can create new work orders, print or email them, close them off to history, schedule work, and a number of other functions. Work orders can arrive in this listing in a range of different ways. They can be automatically generated by routine maintenance schedules, they can be created as a result of an approved maintenance request, or they can be manually created, as we're about to do now. The first step in manually creating a work order is to click on the New button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. This will open up a blank work order details screen for me to enter my new job into. The only mandatory fields for a new work order are the asset that is to be worked on and a description of the work that is to be performed. However, I would usually specify a bit more detail than this. This time I'm going to replace the tyres on one of my forklifts, so I'll select the asset by using the search tool and describe the job. Now, that is enough to save my work order, but I'll enter some more information. I'll give the job a priority of 3, a job type, which is the category of work of corrective maintenance, and I'll schedule it to start next Friday. If I wish, I can also apply resources to the work order. Now, I think this job will take a fitter about 2 hours to complete, so I'll go to the Trades tab and specify that. I'll use a trade code of fitter and an estimated duration of 2 hours. If I wish to apply the job to a specific fitter, then I can select it from the available list of fitters. I might also need a trades assistant for half an hour to help with the lifting, so I'll add a new line and I'll need him for about half an hour. I'm also going to add the materials requirements to the work order, which I do in the Spares tab, here. Now, I've got a number of options when I add materials to the work order. I can select items from the catalogue using this button here. I'll need a few bearings. These ones. And I estimate that I'll need 4 of them. When I close the job off, I'll issue these parts so they will become an actual consumed quantity rather than an estimate. I also need a pair of forklift tyres. Now, I don't hold them on the shelf, so I will create a purchase order for my supplier to bring them in for the job. I'll click on Add Purchase Order. Select my supplier, and then add the items that I wish to purchase for the job. Again, I can type in the supplier stock number, or I can use a catalogue selection screen, and these are the items I purchased from that supplier. I'll have these ones today, and I'll need 2. Because I'm purchasing directly to the job, the tyres have been added to the work order as an estimate cost, and here I have a hyperlink to the purchase order that I've ordered on. When the goods are received from the supplier, it will go from an estimated cost to an actual cost, and when the supplier's invoice arrives, it may update the cost of those tyres. There is much more detail that can be added to the work order to provide a range of information. On the Documents tab, we can save documents like equipment manuals, safe work practices, or electronic forms like permits. I can perform a risk analysis on the job or a range of other features. But this is enough for this job, so I'll close it and return to the work order listing, where I can see that my work order has been added to my maintenance backlog. Now, at some point, the job will be complete and it'll be up to me to close the work order off, moving it from the maintenance backlog to the maintenance history. I do this by selecting the work order in the listing and clicking on the Close Work Order button at the bottom of the screen. Now, what I record on a closed work order will depend on what kind of reporting I want to produce after the fact. So, for this example, I'll add the details that most of our customers would typically record. I'll say what actually happened on the job in the history description, and I'll record the actual duration that my tradesman spent on the job. So, Joe Bloggs spent an hour and a half on that. David Higgins spent 3/4 of an hour, and I also used another trades assistant for half an hour. I'll also issue the materials that were used. When I created the work order, I added the bearings on as an estimated quantity. Now that I'm closing it off, I'll issue them, taking the bearings from the shelf and putting them onto the work order. I'll add a 4 into the issue column. I can also add additional parts to my job that weren't in the original estimation. I used 4 of these seals. Now the tyres that I purchased earlier were received from the supplier, and because they were received, they've already gone into the actual usage on the work order. When I receive the supplier's invoice later on, then the costs of the tyres could be updated as a result of the invoice price on file. Now, because I've added actual labour and actual materials to the job, this will have contributed to the actual cost of the job, which I can see here is more than I originally estimated it to be. When I close the History Work Order screen, I can see that the work order has dropped out of the work order listing and is no longer a part of my maintenance backlog. When I close the work order, it goes from the work order listing to the history listing, where I can see it here. Even if a work order is closed, I can still edit it and add more parts or update any information I feel necessary. I can also lock this down so that it can only be done by an administrator. To supplement the MEX work order functionality, MEX also has an inbuilt requests module. This allows staff to request maintenance work. Once a request has been lodged in the system, the maintenance manager or another authorized person can elect to approve the request and then transform it to a work order, adding it to the maintenance backlog. When the work order is completed, the request is also automatically completed. You can also enable a chain of email notifications that will automatically notify the requester of the progress of his request. Alternatively, requests can be logged via MEX Ops Requests, which is a web application that can be distributed to a large number of users with a minimal effort. Built on the latest in web technologies, MEX Ops allows you to request maintenance anywhere and on any device, switching seamlessly between a desktop mode and, for those on the move, a smart mobile interface that makes adding a request to MEX easy. Capture requests with all information, including photographs, documents, electronic forms, and an option to chat back and forth with maintenance staff. Now we will have a look at the Preventative Maintenance module. A preventative maintenance schedule is used whenever you have a routine task that you want MEX to automatically produce work orders for. For example, I might have a number of stairwell fans that I'm required to service every 3 months. So I would create a PM schedule, add my stairwell fans, and set it to generate work orders every 3 months. If I'm required to also perform a more comprehensive service annually, I would create a second preventative maintenance schedule to produce work orders every 12 months. And if I use the preventative maintenance hierarchy option, then the annual service will override the 3-monthly service, and when both work orders are due, only the annual work order will be produced. To access the MEX Preventative Maintenance module, I click on the Preventative Maintenance icon in the main menu here. This will open up the Preventative Maintenance listing, which is a list of all the routine maintenance schedules that I currently have defined in the system. To create a new preventative maintenance schedule, I click on the New button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. This will open up a blank preventative maintenance details screen for me to enter the details of my new PM into. Now, in order to define a new preventative maintenance schedule, I have to state 3 things. What it is, which is a description of the task to be performed. What it happens to, which is the assets that the preventative maintenance will generate work orders for. And how often it happens, which will be the frequency. In this case, I'm performing a 3-monthly inspection on my stairwell fans. So my description would be stairwell fan 3-monthly inspection. we need to tell the PM schedule what assets it will work with. There are two ways of going about this. I can either manually nominate a list of assets in the Asset Using tab, here. I can go through and specify which assets this schedule applies to. However, it is more common to specify a group of assets. If I select the asset type of stairwell fan up here, then MEX will locate each stairwell fan in my asset register and automatically associate them with this maintenance schedule. I can be more specific by specifying a manufacturer or model number. But in this case, I'm confident that this maintenance schedule will handle all models of stairwell fan, so I'll leave it at that. When I nominate what fans I'm going to include on my service, I also have to say when they were last serviced. It will default to today, but I would need to look at my records and confirm when this stairwell fan was last serviced. My records indicate that this was last done on the 27th of January. This stairwell fan was last serviced just last week. I only have to do this on the creation of the maintenance schedule. As it begins to schedule work orders, these dates will be automatically updated. The last and most important setting is the frequency of this work. I can set this on the Details tab of the schedule. I can schedule maintenance in two ways: by calendar, which are days, weeks, months, or years, or by usage, which are hours or kilometres, or any other type of reading that indicates the usage of the asset. In this case, it's a 3-monthly service, so we will enter a frequency of 3 months. If I specify usage-based, then I need to enter in regular readings for my assets. For example, if I have a 250-hour service on my forklift, I would have to typically enter an hour meter reading on a weekly or fortnightly basis so that MEX can begin to schedule work orders. In conjunction with the frequency, I can also specify a lead time. Now, this is a 3-monthly service. I might like the work order to be generated, say, 5 days in advance of the actual due date of the job. So if one of these work orders is due on, say, the 20th, it will be generated on the 15th with a due date of the 20th. Now, this is enough for the preventative maintenance to begin scheduling work orders for my stairwell fans. From here on, I'm adding the details that I would like to appear on the work orders that are generated by the preventative maintenance schedule. We'll give them a priority of, let's say, 3. A job type of PM. My service has a checklist of tasks that I want performed during the service, so I'll add these tasks onto the Tasks tab. Like complete a visual inspection, check the belt tension, give it a clean, and check and possibly replace my filters. I might also perform other tasks like specify the labour requirements. I think that might take a fitter around half an hour. Nominate any materials that might happen on the job. There we go, we'll add these. And possibly add documentation like safe work practices or electronic forms onto the schedule. These documents will propagate down to any work orders that the preventative maintenance generates. That's typically what I would put in a basic PM schedule. So I'll close the screen and I'll see that my PM has been added to the listing. An interesting feature provided with the Preventative Maintenance module is the Scheduler, which can be accessed by clicking on the Scheduler button at the bottom of the Preventative Maintenance listing. The Scheduler does not generate work orders, rather it predicts what work orders will be generated by your PM program's activator. I can see here a list of the assets that are included in my preventative maintenance, for example, this inlet feed pump. I can see in the schedule that for the month of December, the 12-monthly service is going to be due on that pump. If I click on the PM's highlighted link, it will take me to the details of that preventative maintenance, where I can, for example, move that service forward or back. You can see the hierarchy of your preventative maintenance servicing taking effect. For example, my 12-monthly is due in December. 3 months later in March, the 3-monthly service is due, followed by the 6-monthly and so on. The scheduler is an excellent way to check that your PM schedules are going to generate work orders on time and according to the hierarchy and intervals that you've set up. If you prefer a listing view rather than an interactive calendar, you can retrieve that by clicking on the List button. Nominate a time range. I'd like to see the list of the work orders to be generated for the next year, and click on the Schedule button. And here's your predicted preventative maintenance work orders presented as a listing. If you have nominated the parts to be used on each of your preventative maintenance schedules, then you can click on the Required Spare Parts button, and that will present a list of all the spare parts that you will require to complete your preventative maintenance routine within that time period. The next thing we'll have a look at is the optional Stores module. The Stores module is the inventory management system that can be purchased separately with MEX. It's a fairly comprehensive system that integrates seamlessly with the maintenance functionality of MEX. The Stores module can maintain a store's catalog, which is a list of the items that you either hold on the shelf or order in as required. When you look at the details of an individual item, we have a catalog number and description, but we also have things like part categorization, physical locations, and minimum reorder points. We can also record the supplier the item is purchased from, any documentation associated with the item, like MSDSs. Also, we have a complete transactional history of the item, and we can see what machines the item is used on. With the catalog listing also comes an automatic replenishment system, which can be used to replenish any stock that has fallen below its minimum stock level. Purchase orders for replenishment can be automatically generated from this screen. With purchase orders, we can also generate receipt items from suppliers, process supplier invoices, and a range of other purchasing functionality. You can also use an electronic authorization system, where a purchase order cannot be sent to a supplier until it has been approved by a person with appropriate financial authority. There are a range of other functions within the Stores module, such as materials reservations, a central requisitioning system, stock take, goods receipt, a list of your suppliers, and stores-specific reporting. Let's take a look at the reporting capabilities of MEX. With over 300 standard reports and an additional 40 inventory and purchasing related reports, MEX gives you the option to select from any one of these reports. With the convenient option to customize a list of favorite reports, like so. Producing a report out of MEX is relatively simple. You select the report you want to produce, and this brings up a set of parameters for that report. Fill in your report parameters, and then you can either preview the report and/or print it. Reports can also be emailed or exported to a variety of file formats. I'll preview it. Using the MEX Event Scheduler, you can also set up reports to automatically email themselves to a distribution list on a schedule that you nominate. In addition to the reporting function, you also have the integrated MEX dashboard, which can be accessed from here. The dashboard is a list of 99 charts, graphs, lists, and other KPI measures that can be produced through the web interface. For example, this KPI here is the backlog per trade code in both the number of jobs and also man hours. The dashboard's KPIs are separated into different categories, and again you can establish a favorites list of the KPIs that you choose to track and display. MEX also comes with a fully integrated report editor that you can use to create your own reports or edit any of the existing ones. MEX Mobile is available across all major mobile platforms, including iOS, Android, and UWP. Designed to work on the road, MEX Mobile takes your data with you. Using the built-in Sync and Go feature, all the data you need is downloaded onto your device, allowing you to access the maintenance information you need when you need it. Once you are back within network range, All the assets, work orders, readings, requests, or pre-starts you have updated will sync right back into your MEX database. Just like the browser-based version, MEX Mobile is very easy to navigate with the main menu set out in a straightforward and intuitive layout. Access all asset information by tapping on the Asset Register button. All your assets and their details now available at your fingertips. If you need to create a new asset on the fly or duplicate an existing asset tree, MEX Mobile gives you that and more. One key feature of MEX Mobile is the ability to search your assets, work orders, and catalogue by simply tapping on the search button and scanning a code. Whether it is a standard barcode, a QR code, or for near-field communication-enabled devices with NFC tags, MEX Mobile easily identifies and displays the asset you need. Work orders are also available on MEX Mobile, whether it is the full list or a set of trade-specific work orders. To access a work order's details, open up the work order like so, displaying a description of the job, all parts required, specific trade allocations, individual tasks, and all attached documents and forms. From here, you can complete a work order and close it off to history with ease. Navigating back to the mobile main menu, the MEX app also allows you to capture any equipment readings, access drawings and other documents, plus the ability to add in maintenance requests. With MEX Mobile Statutory Reporting, you get a full picture of your maintenance operation by simply running any of the available system reports. Here is the Assets Downtime Report, generated and ready for you to work with. MEX Mobile also has a number of inventory functions available through the optional Stores options. Modules like the catalogue listing, purchasing, issue parts, and goods receipt. For your dedicated pre-starts users, access your daily checks and carry them out with ease. Tap the Pre-starts button to carry out a pre-start. You can either manually select an asset to work with or can scan a barcode or QR code. Here we go. Light Vehicle 1's pre-start checklist is scanned and ready to go. Run through each individual check, noting the defects as you go. If you want to, add photos to each individual check. Pre-starts on MEX Mobile gives you the best chance of picking up issues when they are still minor ones, saving you the heartache of having to deal with costly maintenance repairs on major equipment failures. This combination of internet, browser, and mobile device access means that you'll be able to capture all of the information that you need to effectively maintain your equipment. If you want to know more about MEX, you can contact our sales department at sales@mex.com.au, or you can give us a call on +61 7 3392 4777. Thank you.